Good morning, class. Today in math, we are going to be doing lesson 2.7 in your GoMath book. So if you haven't done so already, pause the video and go tear out pages 125 and 127 from your GoMath book. Once you have those torn out, come back. All right. Today's lesson is on using and making line plots. Okay? The essential question is, how can you read and interpret data in a line plot and use data to make a line plot? All right, well, first let's learn what a line plot is. Hopefully you have torn out your vocabulary cards and read all of them, so maybe this won't be new to you. A line plot uses marks to record each piece of data above a number line. It helps you see groups in the data. Okay, so you have a number line with a line plot, and then you have X's, okay, above it. The X's are just like tally marks, okay? Each X stands for one student. You can see that there. So every time something is a 5, you would mark an X, all right? It's a way of keeping track of data in a different form other than a pictograph or a tally table or a frequency table or a bar graph. So you have a number line, and then all your data is the X's above the number line. All right? Okay. So some students took a survey of the number of letters in their first names. They recorded the data in a line plot. Right? This is the line plot. How many students have 6 letters in their first names? Now, you cannot get confused and just go to try to find which one has 6 X's, okay? Let's read what everything means on this line plot. So each X stands for one student. So that means every X you see is a student. So these are students up here. And then down here you have your label, which is number of letters in our first names. So the numbers show the number of letters in a name. So this is a name with 3 letters, a name with 4 letters, a name with 5 letters, 6 letters, 7 letters, and 8 letters, okay? So for example, 3 has 2 X's above it. So that means 2 students have names with 3 letters. Look at 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that means 5 students have names with 4 letters. Okay? Imagine that this number line is drawn on the pavement of the playground. Okay? And the teacher told students to go line up behind the number of letters they have in their name. So imagine these X's as students lined up. There's 2 students lined up at 3 because they have 3 letters in their name. There are 5 students lined up at 4 because they have 4 letters in their name. There are 6 students lined up at 5 because they have 5 letters in their name. So you have to remember these X's represent the students. Okay? So you don't want to get confused. So when the question asks you how many students have 6 letters in their first names, we need to find where on this chart does it show 6 letters. Okay? Not 6 X's because the X stands for students. 6 letters. Well, the bottom shows me that these numbers represent the number of letters in our first names. So that means this represents 6 letters. So how many students have 6 letters in their name? Well, looky here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, if this was on the playground, there would be 4 students in line after the number 6. Okay? All right, let's break this down. The 6 stands for 6 letters, not students, letters. Okay? There are 1, 2, 3, 4 X's above the 6. So 4 students have 6 letters in their first name because each X stands for a student. Okay. Now let's answer a couple more, or one more question on this graph, then we'll go to the next one. Which number of letters was found most often? Okay, so if it was found most often, then it has the highest number of students standing in its line. All right, so which line is the longest or the tallest? 5. So 5, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 students that have 5 letters in their name. So that means the number of letters found most often would be 5. Okay? All right, flip it over. Let's keep practicing. Okay? Oh, wait, can't do that one. Hold on. Sorry, wrong page. Go to page 127. We're going to go down to height of avocado plants. Fun fact, my baby George is the size of an avocado right now, which you'll watch this video next week, so he'll be bigger than that. But a week ago from when you watched this video, he was the size of an avocado. Okay, so let's look at this line plot. So the numbers down here on the bottom, they represent the height of avocado plants in inches, okay? It's the height of avocado plants in inches. So that means plants that are 6 inches tall, plants that are 7 inches tall, plants that are 8 inches tall, and so forth, okay? Okay, so now we want to look at the x's. Each x represents what? Think about it. Each x represents an avocado plant. So there are 1, 2, 3 avocado plants that are 6 inches tall. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 avocado plants that are 8 inches tall. And there's 1 avocado plant that is 10 inches tall. Okay? So down here, these numbers, I want you to remember, they are the inches. The x's, each x equals 1 plant. Okay? All right. So garden club members recorded the height of their avocado plants to the nearest inch in a line plot. Write a sentence to describe what the line plot shows. So we just discussed it, but let's write it out. Okay? The line plot shows that plants were 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, or 12 inches tall. So according to this line plot, ask yourself, were there any plants that were less than 6 inches tall? No. Our data starts at 6 inches. Were there any plants that were more than 12 inches tall? Also, no, because there's nothing beyond there. Now, how many plants were 9 inches tall? You need to find 9 inches on here, so that would be the 9 right here, because remember, these are inches. And you would count how many x's or plants are above the 9. So it's 1, 2, 3. So 3 plants were 9 inches tall. Okay? Sometimes you might get asked, how many plants were either 6 or 7 inches tall? So in that case, you're going to look at how many plants were 6 inches tall, how many plants were 7 inches tall, and you're going to add them together. So there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plants that were either 6 inches or 7 inches tall. Okay? sometimes you might hear a question that says, how many plants were taller than 9 inches? So if it's asking you how many plants were taller, well, you automatically know that to be taller than 9 inches, they would have to have been 10 inches, 11 inches, or 12 inches. Okay? Now I'm going to draw a line on this just to show you. So that means I'm going to look at everything above the 9. All I have to do is count the plants that are above 9. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 plants were taller than 9 inches. Same if it would be that it asked how many plants were less than 10 inches tall. So that would be everything that's underneath the 10, and you would just count them all up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So 14 plants were less than 10 inches tall. Okay? How many plants were there in all? So if you're asked how many plants were measured, or how many plants were there in all, or how many students were asked, or surveyed, or voted, then you're going to be counting up all of the X's on the entire line plot. Okay? All right, let's try to answer some more questions. How many more plants are 8 or 9 inches tall than are 6 or 7 inches tall? So the first thing we have to do is find out how many plants are 8 or 9 inches tall. So 8 or 9 means we're going to include both of them. So let's count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 plants are 8 or 9 inches tall. It's asking me to explain, so that's why I'm writing it out. Okay. And then it wants me to say or find how many are 6 or 7 inches tall. So we're going to go back over here, find the 6 and the 7, and let's count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 plants are 6 or 7 inches tall. Okay, and now we need to find the difference because it says how many more. So that would be 8 plants minus 6 plants equals 2 plants. So 2 more plants are 8 or 9 inches tall than 6 or 7 inches tall. Okay. Okay. How many plants are taller than 8 inches? Okay, remember we did this with the 9 right here. So now we're going to do it with 8. So how many plants are taller than 8 inches? That means we're going to look at everything above 8. So you're going to count up all the X's that are above 8. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 plants are taller than 8 inches. Okay. All right. Flip it over. Let's look at this line plot. Addison made the line plot below to show the high temperature every day for 1 month. What inference can you make about what season this is? Now, an inference is going to be where the answer is not there on the page for you to find. It's in your head. You use things and knowledge that you've already learned, and you also use the information you are given. So let's look at this line plot and break it down. The numbers on our number line represent the daily high temperatures in degrees Fahrenheit. So that means all these numbers are degrees. 101 degrees, 102 degrees, 103 degrees, and so on. Okay? Each X represents a day. So an X equals 1 day. Okay? So every time a day was 103 temperature, she would put an X. All right, so I can see that 3 days it was 103 degrees Fahrenheit. Now look at these temperatures. These are extremely warm temperatures. Okay, so start thinking about what season is it very, very warm. Okay, and to remind you, they have the 4 seasons down here: spring, summer, fall, and winter. So while we're breaking down this line plot, I want you to continue to think about that. And we will come back to it. When you combine what you see with what you already know to come up with an idea, you are making an inference. You can use what you know about weather and the data in the line plot to make an inference about the season. You know that the numbers in the line plot are the high temperatures recorded during the month. The highest temperature recorded was, okay, so we need to find the highest temperature. It doesn't ask us for the most number of days. Remember, the X's are days. So we're looking for the highest temperature. So we're only going to be looking at the temperatures, which are the numbers on our line plot, number line. So what is the highest temperature that they recorded? Well, I'm going to go all the way to the end, and it's 115 degrees Fahrenheit. You can make your little degree sign with your little circle and an F for Fahrenheit. The lowest temperature recorded was, again, we're looking at temperature, which means we're looking at the numbers on this number line. And the lowest temperature was 101 degrees. We're not paying any attention to the X's. It's not asking us about the days. It is only asking us about the temperatures. So the lowest temperature recorded was 101 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, the temperature recorded most often was, so now we're actually talking about the ones that were recorded. So now we're going to look at the days. So which one has the most days at that temperature? So I'm going to look at the highest number of X's, because each X represents a day, remember? So it looks like 114 and 107 are the tallest. Let's count them and see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at 114 degrees. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days were 107 degrees. So that means the temperature that was recorded the most often was 107 degrees Fahrenheit. Now let's go back to that season question. Since all the high temperatures are greater than 100, you know the days were hot. This will help you make an inference about the season. So you can infer that the season is, hopefully you narrowed it down, that the season is summer. Even our summers here in the Midwest don't necessarily get over 100 degrees very often. We most definitely never get this high. So I'm curious to know what state this was recorded in. Okay, fall and winter are colder. Spring is cooler than summer. So summer is the hottest season.